Hi, I'm Jo, and this is my wrap-up for the month of March. Wow, March is just the longest month of the year, I swear. It goes on and on forever. So one of the books I read was Diary by Chuck Palahniuk. I never read anything of his before, and I really enjoyed it. This was the story of a woman who she was married to this man, and he moved her out to this island where her family lived, his family lived. She was an artist, and he was just kind of odd. It was actually, sometimes I was thinking, hello, like, aren't you, like, any alarms going off? This seems like a weird, abusive relationship. I think you should call for help and get out. There was something happening, and you had to find out what it was. You didn't find out what it was until the end, and I really enjoyed it. It was good. It's called Diary, and it is written like a diary. I especially love the way they recorded the weather. This is just for the record, the weather today is partly soused with occasional bursts of despair and irritation. So the weather is never actually the weather. The weather is her feelings at the time, and it was a good book. Next, I read The Tower, the Zoo, and the Tortoise by Julia Stuart. This was one I picked up, I'm not going to lie, because it's cute. So this is the story about Balthazar Jones, who is a beef eater at the Tower of London. He lives there with his wife. They lost their son, and my cat is going crazy because the dogs next door are outside and he wants to go play. He doesn't understand he's not a dog. The husband and wife are dealing with the loss of their son. They aren't talking about it, which just adds to their issues. And then one day, and Balthazar Jones's family has a tortoise that's passed down from generations because tortoises live forever. So that's the tortoise. They live in the tower. And then the zoo, the queen decides she wants to have a menagerie at the tower again, like there used to be. And he is put in charge of it for some reason. And I know this just kind of sounds like a weird story. It's a little bit. His wife works in the lost and found department of the underground, what is the subway thing called in London? The tube? Whatever it's called. She works in the lost and found, and things come in like an urn with ashes in it, or just like books or weird things, umbrellas people leave. But then there are also like one of those boxes that magicians use to put a person in and to cut it. And anyway, she has some funny little things that happen at work, and then he has some weird things that happen to him. But it's mostly the story of the Joneses, and I love their story. It was just the sweetest little, it's not like a mushy love story, but they loved each other, and they had their child late in life, and they adored their child, and then they lost their child, and then they lose each other, their like anchors, and they drift apart, and they come back, but it's not like all mushy love stuff either. And there's lots of funny stuff that happened, and there are some great characters in here. But, yeah, so it has a happy ending, and I really enjoyed this book. Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James. This is the one I took with me to the beach, and I did not finish it at the beach. I actually got to the very end where everything was wrapping up in the exciting conclusion part when we landed here, home. And I was like, no, circle around so I can finish this book. After Darcy and Lizzie are married, so it's after the end of Pride and Prejudice, it says 6 years, in their 6 years of marriage. They're preparing for this ball, and then this carriage comes up, and something happened in the woods outside of Pemberley, on Pemberley grounds. So Darcy and some men go out to see what happened. Someone is dead, and then the whole book is the mystery of what happened out there. I really enjoyed it. I usually am very apprehensive about reading anything using Jane Austen's characters, especially Lizzie and Darcy. But this was just so well written, and I felt like it was their true character that Jane Austen set them up to be. I've never read P.D. James before, but she's already an established author. So it's not like this, she's writing fan fiction trying to break into a career. She's already there. And this was just a great story. I really enjoyed it. I didn't feel like it took anything away from Pride and Prejudice. It uses other characters. It was a good book and I enjoyed it. And it also has a nice cover. The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I read this for book club. Holy smokes, this is a huge book. It is so heavy. This is like, I did my exercises every day. I'm just joking, I don't exercise. It was a very long book. I'm sure everyone has heard so much about the Goldfinch that you don't ever want to hear about it again. I actually put off reading this book because even though I didn't really know what it was about, I mean, aside from some sort of terrorist attack and a painting and a little boy, that was all I knew. And I just kind of put off reading it, first of all because it's not in paperback yet and this is massive, but also I just felt like it was just so everywhere. I was just tired of hearing about it. But I read it for book club and I really enjoyed it. It is a Pulitzer Prize winner, and the Pulitzer Prize winners are about people. And this book is definitely all about, I mean, I basically read every day of this kid's life from the time of the terrorist attack until he was in his, what, mid-20s? I mean, yeah. There's a lot of words in this book. My brain was mush. Well, I also crammed it into 3 days because I have a problem with self-control, and once I started reading, I couldn't stop reading. So it is a good book, and I don't really want to talk about it. Sorry. Then another book I read, it was not this book. It was The Bookman's Tale by Charlie Lovett. I don't own that one. I had to return it to the library, so I put this in my pile so I wouldn't forget that I read it. The First Impressions is fantastic, and I did a book review on this in October or November, I believe, when it came out. The Bookman's Tale is Charlie Lovett's first book, and it is the story of an antiquarian bookseller and William Shakespeare. And I loved it. Peter in The Bookman's Tale has his own mystery going on. His wife died. He moved to their cottage that they had built and remodeled, but his wife had never had the chance to live in. That was in, where was it? England somewhere. And he finally wanders into this bookstore, picks up a book, flips through it, and oh my gosh, there's a watercolor painting of his wife. But it is not, you know, like new. It's a watercolor painting that is clearly from the Victorian era, and then he goes on a mission trying to figure it out, and it has some ties to William Shakespeare, and the mystery behind, is Shakespeare really Shakespeare, or was he another person using William Shakespeare's name as his pen name? It was fascinating. There was a bad guy, there was a mystery, there was healing, and his love story, Peter's love story about his wife, and it was fantastic, and I really loved it, and the cover is gorgeous. So you should also pick up The Bookman's Tale and First Impressions, both by Charlie Lovett. It was not a huge reading month, but this book was massive. I was away for a week, and I don't know. That's just what happens in March. March is just a terrible month. We just need to take it out of the calendar. So that is what I read in March. If you've read any of these, please comment below. Let me know what you read, what you thought of it, and let me know what was your favorite book that you read in March. I will talk to you later. Bye.